Sounds good.
Help everybody see that okay? Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Buffi Williams. I think most of you know me. We've done this over and over again. If not, you're probably my friend, and so you know me that way. But today we're going to talk a little bit. We've talked about self-determination theory. You're going to notice that if you come every week, every month, it's just going to be a building block. Every time we're going to be talking about the same things in a different capacity. So this time we're going to talk about engaging families, which is one of the hardest things to do, is to get a parent to come to something and engage in it and make it a family activity. We're going to come up with some strategies. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about urban communities. Especially, why am I talking about urban communities? We will get into socioeconomic as well. But urban communities, sometimes those families are exposed to a different climate. We were taking one of our kids out to a park, and it was really quiet, and it was almost like they made noise. They were not used to that. But also, we were going to do meditation at John's Park and thought, that's probably not going to happen, right, in an urban community. So we do acknowledge that urban communities are different, right? So we're always going to be looking at a self-determination approach because it is the theory that I fell in love with. So it is, and I think it works very well. So we talk a little bit about overcoming barriers and fostering inclusive communities, right? So we're going to talk about diversity of people and their perspectives, equity and policies and practices and positions. I got the best. I taught for the first time out at OSU. It was so much fun. I mean, I just had so many allies it was just a great opportunity to be able to do it. But I got a card from one of my kids and one of my students, and she said, I live in Belleville, and I probably have white privilege. She says, and I will never probably know what it feels like to have a black son that you have to teach certain things to when he's driving or when he's involved with the police. But I will tell you this, that if injustice happens, I will be the loudest privileged person out there. Yeah. She was, and so I felt like job well done, right? Because if you're feeding the kids the same food, they should be healthy, right? So that's equity. That's policy and practice. It is remembering why you're at the table, right? You might not be able to always change the policies and procedures, but you can be loud at the table and say, I don't agree with this. This is probably not working for everyone. And so sometimes we think about policy as being able to change it. But the first thing that needs to happen is someone at the table saying this makes no sense, right? And you do your research and you give them families and say, let me give you John Doe and why this does not work, right? So when we talk about policies and practices, I don't want us to always say, well, I'm not in a government position. You're in a staff meeting, so you're in a position, right? Okay. Inclusion, of course, we hear about inclusion all the time. We're going to talk about what that looks like, making sure everyone has a voice. And these kind of all marry each other in justice, equal rights, equitable opportunities, which we know NECC does that well. All right. Our objective, right? What are we going to do today? Explore strategies for engaging families in urban using. We're going to try this today. SDT. I always go STD, y'all. So SDT, if I do that, I'm sorry. Importance of family engagement, right? Why is that vital for community cohesion? Why is child development and academic success so important? Why are people moving out of Mansfield? Why are we not the new Texas where we're right in the middle? We're in the middle of Cleveland and Columbus. This is actually an amazing place to be. Anytime we're ready to go, we decide, you want to go up to Cleveland, you want to go up to Columbus? Because both of them were right in the middle, right? Why would this not be a great community to be in? We're going to find out that the community cohesiveness, child development, your schools, academic success has a lot to do with that. And then what role do we play, everybody in here as a village, to make it an amazing place to be, right? Challenges, fear of judgment and barriers faced by families living in poverty. We're going to talk a little bit about that today, right? Going to go quickly over for anybody who hasn't been here. You should be tired of this, but self-determination theory, what exactly is that, right? So we talked about autonomy, competence, and relatedness. They've changed it to relatedness, but in the beginning when the theory came out, it was belonging. I kind of still like belonging. But autonomy, providing choices and opportunities for families to make decisions. And later on, I'm going to give you guys a case study. We're going to go in little groups, and I'm going to see what you come up with when it comes to a family. So you'll have a test today. So autonomy, providing choices and opportunities for families. Number one, you're going to have to understand what are the choices, what are the opportunities for our families, and do we have places where they fit, right? And if they don't fit there, who needs to change? Most of the time we tell our families, no, it's the structure, the professional. We need to adjust, right? Competence, building skills. Or do they have the skills? Do our mamas have the skills to raise their baby? Do they have the skills to advocate at school? Do they have the skills? And if they don't, I have moms, shoot, they didn't graduate. They had problems reading. And then we send them home with a piece of paper and say, now, Billy cannot read. Now you read. And the mom's like, I was on an IEP. I still can't read. I still don't understand their homework. You will notice after the third grade, some of our parents cannot help with homework, right? So do they have the skills, and do they have the confidence, and do they have the support and resources and belonging, fostering a sense of belonging and connection within the community? Do I feel like I belong in Mansfield? Do I believe that Richland County is a place that I can be? I see myself. My children have somewhere to go. There's a park to go to. There's a walking path that we can go ride our bikes. Do I live in a neighborhood that I can feel like this is my space? From just, I go into cities and there's, graffiti that looks like us, that goes, it's the art that's in your thing. It's so much that makes us feel like we belong that we have to think of when we do things. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about fear of being judged, right? I found this sister, she was cute, so I put her on there. Okay, so common concerns. Families may fear being judged based on socioeconomic status. So let's talk about that. How does socioeconomic status affect a fear that they might have about socioeconomics? What are stereotypes we have about people who are poor? Yes? Big time. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to name who it was. I went to Mid-Ohio to sign my son up. My oldest son had something called apraxia. And apraxia is a speech impediment. So my oldest son, James, did not really start talking until he was 6. He's an honor student, goes to OU, he's doing great, he's smart, but his speech, he had what was called apraxia. So I was taking him to Mid-Ohio because I wanted him to get services and I wanted him to be in an environment where he could get some coaching. I go to sign him up, and it's just me, and I'm working on the other side for WIA. The lady looks and says, she gives me the paper, and she says, do you even know who his father is?
Oh my God.
That's what she said. And I have a wedding ring on everything. She says, do you know who his father is? I said, I do. I just woke up next to him. I actually do. I said, and I work next door. And why would you ask me even if I didn't know?
Right.
Wonder if I didn't. Honey, I have a story. So even if I didn't, that's what they said. So needless to say, I had to deal with them. My son did go there for a little while because he needed help. I needed a speech. I needed some supports. But do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. So you have the economic status, right, that she assumed. Why do you think she assumed that?
Because you came in there with your child by yourself.
Came in there with my child by myself, and he was special needs. Oh, he's not talking at this level he's supposed to? I'm like, no, I've been at home giving him words, giving him none. Didn't I know he had tubes in his ear twice? And then now, James Jr. has always been my kid that's like, yeah, like, oh, we gotta go to the doctor. We gotta get the tubes out. So, you know what I mean? So I'm sitting here, and I'm a mom already worried. right? He seems very developmentally where he needs to be, smart, understands and responds. So I knew it wasn't like autism because he was social. But I'm like, listen, he's 5. He's not talking at the level he should be. I'm here vulnerable. I already feel like I failed somewhere. And you look at me because I'm an African American woman and you assume I don't know. And even if I was a single African American, I probably know who Dad is.
But I'm curious, like, were you gonna get a different type of service?
I don't know. I have no idea. But
Answer that question.
yes, I'm like, is there something I get? Wait, I can forget who Daddy is for a certain price. No. But yes, that is what I did, and I remember that, and I remember that at a very vulnerable time, right? So those are the kind of stories you get because you have economic and you have cultural ideas and stereotypes, and I was judged. And so cultural background, parenting style, right? Am I going to get in trouble? So I was talking to a principal the other day, and she says, Buffy, I did have to deal with some of the parents coming in here. She was like, I call them at the end of the day because they would come up here and be like, bring Jamal right on up here. And the parent would take them back and whoop their little tail and send them back. She says, I can't have that on my school ground, right? So my thing is that parenting style does go with culture. She didn't think nothing of that. Come up there with her bonnet and her house shoes on. Let's go. Because wherever you act, my dad used to say, wherever you act up, that's where I'm going to deal with you at. Right? So parenting styles are different and conversation. So the impact, the fear can lead to what? Disengagement. They don't want to come. You will notice that they'll be reluctant to even come to your things. Find out why. You know, find out maybe you did get it wrong. You know, maybe you said something that was offensive or you said something that wasn't right. You know, you didn't call them the right name. You didn't whatever, you know. Let's find out what that is. And let's address the elephant of the room. You know, let's say the hard things because there are times where we do have judgments. We do judge. Come on, y'all. If I see somebody, their pants hanging down and I'm in the hood and it's about 11:30, I'm judging your tail. I had it. Let me tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth. I was in the store. Black kid came in, loving the life, didn't know him, wasn't no kid I knew. And because I didn't know him and I didn't know his family, I couldn't place his face. It kind of bothered me too because in Mansfield, we want to know who your folks is and where you come from. And so he had a hoodie on. It was probably night. It was nobody in this store. Hoodie on, pants down. I was leaving the store. I was glad I was leaving the store. I'm like, what is you about to do? Right? So I was judgy. You know what I mean? And I'm a mama of two African-American males. Got what I'm saying? So we have to be honest and quit saying, I have a person that I talk, he says, I don't see color. I said, stop it. That's an insult to say that you do not see that I am a black woman. I'm okay. I like being who I am. And so my thing is that sometimes we have a fear that if we say we see color, that it means that we are already downgrading that. Does everyone understand what I'm saying? Yes, yes, yes. So judgment is it's the whole implicit bias training you go to. I had somebody, they went through implicit bias training. They were like, it looks like I'm biased. I really need to get some more black friends. And looking at me, I'm like, yes. Do you have a recruiting process or an application? It says I need more black friends. I was like, oh, okay, I don't know, but yeah. So, right, what are strategies? Creating a welcoming and a non-judgmental environment. I am finishing up my doctoral, and my doctoral is actually, my research that I'll be starting is on the harmonious, you have to come up with this name, this harmonious cross-cultural relationship. But basically, I'm taking 10 black teachers, actually 5 black teachers, 5 white teachers, and putting them in a room to have the hard conversation of how hard it is to educate black kids. And it gives the white teachers, and I call them non-minority teachers, the opportunity to say, I am scared to call Tanisha. You know why? You know why he acts up and he's in the corner? Because I don't know how to engage mom. Every time I call her, she either wants to beat his tail or cuss me out. There's no medium. So there's never any resolve because she'll come whoop his tail and he might be good for the next couple of days. Then he's acting up. Then I'm calling her and she's like, well, what you want me to do? I already done came up here. Right? That's the scenario. So mama tired of getting called. Teachers is tired of calling. And I need Jamal, little Jamal, I'm using Jamal today. Little Jamal to really, at the end of the day, pass my testing. Because the state requires me that he knows how to read. And if he doesn't know how to read, my district now is a D at ODE. It's failing because I can't get him to learn. And I can't get him to learn because I can't call mama. And if I do call mama, she beats his tail. And it only lasts 2 days. So they're in this dilemma that is creating a narrative that our kids, as one of our goals in this grant is, they're not meeting their reading levels. And I promise you some of it is behavior. Because some of my kids, when I can get them to the point where I can sit them down and read, they're intelligent. They can read. They can learn sounds. Got it? You have something to add? Okay. I know you work in academia, so. All right, providing culturally sensitive and inclusive programming. Tell me what providing cultural sensitive program is, and then we're going to use the word inclusive. But give me cultural sensitive. What does culturally sensitive mean? How have you created that? I'm going to pick with Tiffany. Go. That's what you do. What is it?
I mean, you just have to make it so they understand what they're going into, because students want the same thing, but it's the wording that keeps them away.
Yes, yes. So I went to a school, UMANOP is actually, well, there will be a school in UMANOP next year called Legacy, and it's STEAM, and it's focused on African-American kids. And they're coming, they're K through 8. It's not my school, I know people might say that, but it's not just will be in the building. And I went to visit their school, because I wanted to know who was coming to our community. And I went in the room, and 87% of their teachers are African-American males. Yes, it's amazing. So I went in. Yeah, they're coming here. They're trying to duplicate what they did here. Those teachers are staying there, but they're trying to duplicate, but they're doing pretty good on duplicating it. So my thing is that when I went in, I thought it was interesting because I went in and they were laughing at me because I had never been, I'm in schools all the time. So I go in, the ELA teacher. It's an African-American male with dreads, rolled up with his cap on. I'm just like, he's like, hey, how you doing? I was like, okay, what are you? He says, I'm the ELA teacher. So on his thing, on his capture, on his wall, it is writing out sentences. And it says, Jermaine, Tanisha, Shaquant, they're using black names, went to the block to pick up greens. Right? How much, and they can even use EBT cards. You got an EBT card. You got $50 on the EBT card. How much greens can you buy? Da, da, da. Why is that working?
That's what they know.
It's familiar.
It's familiar. So it's not having to pull on what happens is if you use language they don't know, they don't have it in their long-term memory. So they can't pull it up. So the first thing you have to do, if you say, me and Mary went to our summer home, right? Kids in certain socioeconomic climates are like, their long-term memory, like, I don't know what that is. What do you mean summer home? People have summer homes. So now you've lost them because their brain is now having to create a new memory of what a daggone summer home is. So in their long-term memory, they're like, long-term memory, oh, summer home. People have summer homes? I wonder what the summer home looks like. So their imaginations are going everything. You say greens, you say EBT card, you say the corner store, you say you buying 5 non-laters, or you find, all of a sudden, they don't have to go far. They're like, yeah, I know what Jolly Ranchers is. Okay, how many you want? 5. Okay, how many can you buy if you have this much money? That's what was on their wall. That's culturally sensitive. Get it now? That's culturally sensitive. All right, what is inclusive? Yeah, it's right there. It's right there. And that is why I'm bringing non-minority and minority teachers together, because they didn't understand that all you got to do is change the name. All instead of saying a summer home, say I went to the park to play ball. Right? I went to the park and I played ball, and this happened and this happened. Now tell me the story in a comprehensive way. Now they can give the story back, because all of that's already in their long-term memory, and they can pull up the thing. When you give them new stuff, they have to now create it in their long-term memory first, then learn the story. Get what I'm saying? Okay. All right. Inclusive programs. What is inclusive? What is inclusive? It's not, this ain't a trick question. What is it to be inclusive? We hear this all the time, but let's make it, I am definitely training for dummies. Like, I am somebody that likes it so easy until you can't stand it.
Open to everyone, disabilities.
Right? So what would it look like? What would that look like? What would that look like? You're in let's stay in the ELA class, because none of my kids stay in ELA. I'm like, where they at? They at the ELA class. So English language arts, that's what that is now. So what is it if I am doing an English language arts program in the school? How would I make it inclusive?
The environment would be accommodating to all, and then just different learning styles.
Yes, like you said, disabilities, like exactly. If they have a disability, my stories would be about somebody in a wheelchair too. Right? Know your environment, change it. I tell the teachers, it's your curriculum. They just want the goal. Change it. That's why state testing, they said, is not fair, because the questions are things our kids don't get. Right? I should show you guys one day Good Times when Michael took the test. Remember when Michael, I don't know, do y'all even know, ever watch Good Times? I'm old enough to watch. Yes, there's this Good Times one where Michael, who is really brilliant in this family, and he took a test and he's like, well, why that's a white test. He's like, what? And so they asked the question in what I call hood terms, and he understood it. So that means that his intellect was there, it just had to be said in a way that he could. So like you said, if it's disabilities, you want to make sure the stories are dealing with people with disabilities, people who are blacks, people who are white, because you also don't want to make it so black that your non-minorities don't get it. So you probably need a summer house out there with the hood, but my research was on Brown versus the Board of Education. You know why? Because when that happened, there should have been a harmonious thing that happened. But 40,000 blacks lost their teaching jobs. So they got rid of all the African American teachers and just kept the white teachers, because why? They didn't want black teachers teaching who? Okay. Right? It was the most grown, it was the number one thing. There was the number one, what do you call it, major that blacks had was education. That was the main major. You would go to school, education. Why? You got a guaranteed job. Why? Because there's segregation. Somebody got to educate them. So they always had a job. Well, administrators, 40,000 people lost their job in the South. Right? It was already redlining in the North. We redline. That's how we do it, is housing. I say we had Jim Crow, it was just housing, redlining, right? So when you talk about inclusive, is exactly what you say. You make sure the programming is not just for minorities, but non-minorities too. We don't want to get to the place where we don't include everybody's narrative. Disability, no matter, my Latino brothers and sisters, everybody has a sentence that they can understand, because the goal is not that you know about them, but that you comprehend. Everybody get me? Okay. Trusting, building trust through open communication and empathy. What does open communication mean? What is an open-ended question? Give me an example of what an open-ended question is.
Not a yes or no.
Exactly. Exactly. So if I'm calling a mom, I don't want to say, did he take his ADHD medicine today? That's their favorite thing to say, teacher. He obviously did not take his ADHD medicine, right? What's a better way to ask that question? That part.
When I was a teacher, I would always just do like a daily kind of check-in with kids and just say, how's everything going at home? And they will tell you, and then they'll kind of
Yes.
let me know how the day was going to go.
Exactly.
And what I needed to address to make sure that they were feeling okay at school.
Absolutely.
That was a game changer.
It was. And like you said, hey, how's the medicine going? It also opens conversation. You know what? I've noticed, because what happens to kids on ADHD medicine that are adolescents? What happens between if they started in 4th grade and they're now in 6th grade? What happens? Their body gets used to it, and what do? They go through puberty. So now little Bobby, who was, 4'11", is now 5'9", still on 2 milligrams, right? And mom might never think that that child's developmental it would be affecting medication, right? So building trust. Now I can trust you that you're not judging my parenting style that he's even on medication, right? Because there's a shame that goes with that, right? So, because there was a shame that went even with my son. I was just like, oh my God, here I am, someone who speaks all the time, and my son has a thing where he's working really, really hard even now on really correcting his speech all the time, right? So I had to trust someone that I could be vulnerable and not be judged as a parent, right? And like you said, how's it working for you? Open communication. How's that working for you? And then I even share about my journey with my son. Hey, he was on an IEP. Hey, I didn't know what was going on. Hey, he's an honor student at OU now. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Got you? And actually going to teach, he's going to be an intervention specialist. So that open communication. What's empathy? What's empathy?
Being able to feel with someone.
That part. Tell me what that is when you're not from the same background. How do you even that out? How do you even that out? Empathy is big with building trust. So if someone doesn't look like you, how would we build empathy with them?
Relating to, we all have different stresses and huge impacts, but it might look different, but we all feel.
Absolutely. You always go. There's a scripture that says love never fails. And what it means is that love actually in the Greek means to prefer. Like when it says that God so loved the world, it's actually he preferred the world so much that he gave his son. So it's this preference that I prefer you, right? And so when you say to someone, your pain is important to me. I can't, like the girl in the thing says, hey, I am from Belleville. I do have white privilege, but girl, I'm going to spend it on being loud. She got me. That's empathy. That's I am not you, but I'm feeling what you're going through, right? That's the emotional piece. That's how you create. So open communication. So the conversation with a mom on a child with ADHD might be, hey, is anything going on with him? What can I do? The empathy is, built, like you said, you started from day one. Right? Because trust is the willingness to be vulnerable to someone. So what you're trying to build is, I want you to feel comfortable being weak in front of me. And I am going to get you comfortable to be weak in front of me by giving open-ended questions. And I'm going to do it by feeling your pain. Right? That's how you get there. We have hard time in relationships. I've been married 22 years, child. We ain't going to start on that one. Hallelujah. Right? So barriers of poverty, right? Economic challenges. Limited financial resources can restrict access to education and community resources. I want to talk about access to educational resources first. Talk to me about that. Talk to me about why is that important, or do we believe that is important? Why is that such a big thing when we're dealing with economic challenges? Why are schools that are in the hood performing so poorly?
Because oftentimes the families can't afford to have the tools in their home. You have to have the stuff in the home, not just in the school.
Yes.
To make your students successful.
Yes. Yes.
Stuff in the school, if you've got a book that looks like a piece of crap,
Yes.
it may have good content in it, but if it looks like a piece of crap, it's hard to value it.
Yes.
Because it looks bad.
Yes.
And so
Where's one?
then the student doesn't necessarily associate, hey, this is really good for me.
Yes.
Why? Simply because it's not valuable.
Yes. Let me see if I can get this back on there. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. Okay. Absolutely. And my thing is that in poor communities, tell me what they believe to be their financial resource to get out of the hood. Because you guys are saying good stuff. You got to have this. This book is crap. I don't care. Da 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 da. Tell me, what in the hood do we believe that most of our kids, if you tell them this is how I'm going to get out the hood, what is it? I just did this with a kid yesterday. One of my kids. Who said that? Who said sports?
I did.
Yes. I went to AAU and I was mad. My husband said, I called Florida. That's where the head is. It's in Florida. I called them and said, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous because these kids, when they get in the ninth grade and don't make it on the ninth grade basketball team, I do not tell a kid. I had a kid, oh my goodness. I have so many stories. 5'4". He is, I promise you 5'4". He might be, let me see where he is at me. I'm 5'9". He probably 5'5". I'll give him 5'5". I'm going to give you 5'5", boo. 5'5". You know what his IEP goal was? For, you know, when they turn 15, they have to have an IEP goal of the long term. I see y'all shaking your heads, you know this. I'm going to be an NBA star. I said, the devil is a lie. No, you will not. So I'm in there, the IEP meeting, saying, this is stupid. Why is this on his long-term after graduation goal? It was his goal, yes.
I noticed it's either between sports or rapping.
That rap. I want to beat it all up.
They feel they can't get school, it's either one of these.
This is how we getting out the hood. The thing is that the rapping piece, there's a few parents that fall into it. AAU, I talked to referee Mario. Mario's dad is a ref. He said they act a fool about this. Third grade parents jumping on there. You got me crazy. My son, no. I was like, yeah, because you think it's about the kid. It's about, that's them fighting to get out of poverty. They believe this is the next LeBron James. I told my baby, my oldest son, you better find something else to do because you ain't that good. I did. Y'all know it's being recorded. He gonna laugh when he sees it. He knows I'm telling the truth. I said, find something else to do. About ninth grade, he became vice president of his school. He's very organized. He's a leader. I knew what he was good at. I knew basketball was not it. You understand? So I had to identify that. If you have a family and they do not value what you are saying, what you're saying, the resources, you guys get them the books, you get them the computers, you get them that. They have access to internet, and they still at home not doing it, but will find the money to take that child to Indiana, Cleveland, to an AAU game. I see it. Tell them, Tiffany. Tell them. Is it the truth? They will have so much money.
Yeah, right.
Do you understand? We will spend thousands of dollars, but we'll not sit for an hour to teach that baby phonics.
And if you can't do it, that money could go to a tutor.
That's right.
Now, let me tell you this. I told one of the kids who did end up playing at a D1 school, I told him, my brother played for Ohio State, so I learned about the clearinghouse early in D1 ball and all this kind of stuff. And I told this one kid, I said, boo-boo. He said, yeah. I said, you might be good. I said, but your grades are horrible. You will never pass the clearinghouse. I said, do you understand this is a scholarship? They don't know about the clearinghouse. So when you're dealing with a family who's in poverty, who mama don't care that he go to school, but basketball, tell her about the clearinghouse. Get that coach, get that, sit down with the clearinghouse. And the clearinghouse for D1 is hard. Like your D1 schools, the D1 school is different than D3. Like how you get into school. Why would they do that? Why wouldn't D1 be the same as D3 if you all about academics? It's not. It's a game that you playing. And you at AU. I looked around there, it felt like I was at a ranch. And like I went to LeBron's for my son when he was younger at Akron, and North Carolina coaches there, all the Big Ten coaches, OSU, and the coaches would just stand around. And you would know where the major kids were because that's where the coach would come. Y'all get what I'm saying? So when you're dealing with the economic challenges of why education is not important, finances and economics, that's important to them. We just have to link it to. So I had one of my little cute kids the other day. One of my kids literally went and he is my little cousin, and he is anointed in the new way. He went and got tape and wrapped it around his knees. In our after school program, we do observational learning and role modeling. So sometimes we have them play so we can see how they interact socially, right? So he had his tape under his knee. He got tape under his knee because he is mocking and role modeling, right? Bandora, role modeling his behavior. And he's out there bawling. So I'm looking at one of the other kids that are playing. I said, so he's running out to basketball. I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? One of my kids said, I'm going to the NBA, of course, because my daddy played, my pawpaw played, everybody played, I'm going to the NBA. I said, oh, okay. I said, do you know there's something else you can be? Right? And that's what we're doing when we're connected with NECSC, and it's great. It's like we have to open the minds of them to say, there's something else you can do, right? So you can't go from basketball, I can't play that, to gangster out in the street, now you selling drugs on the corner. Because a lot of our old athletes have gotten in trouble and done time for, why? Because that brings you prestige too. Unfortunately, in the hood, if you the biggest drug dealer and you rolling and you got people under you and you rolling with the new car and you rolling with the new stuff, yeah, okay, oh, well, okay, we're having a time here. Let's see if I can get back on. All right. Your network is unavailable.
I like that you brought that up because
Okay.
with some athletes and rappers today, they go right back into where they were supposedly got out of, and they come right back into it. And that's where they run into trouble.
Yes, absolutely. They come in. Well, I've had somewhat of a privilege to be able to be around like athletes, and because of Obi, and one thing that I notice is that the retired ones, there is a thrill of the applause, and you're the man. There's like dopamine when you you're the greatest. I mean, that's why we work so hard as women to be halfway cute, and on our wedding day, it's just all about us. It's the only day, because after that, you having babies, and they gonna forget about who you are. So my thing is, that's like, pay the money, because honey, it's your last day. So my thing is that they are really working hard to be able to get the adrenaline. It really is a neurological thing that they have a really hard time letting go. It really honestly is. But you're right. We have to always remember that part. I'm going to go to my next slide without telling you.
And there's so many other jobs. If you just really want to be in the NBA, you don't have to be a player.
Listen, I told my sons the floor. I said, you can either be on the floor, like floor seats. Me and my husband went to a game not too long ago. I was looking at the people who was that close to the floor. I said, who is you? Because them seats is expensive. You get what I'm saying? Like, what corporation you run? The box seats, like up there. I'm looking, I wonder who that is. Oh, okay, that's da-da-da-da-da. You get what I'm saying? Law firms. If you need your hurrah, they come through, and they're going to come through education, and people have to understand that, because they always don't. So what is another barrier when you're in poverty? It's understanding the importance of education and using community resources, like you all said, time constraints, balancing work, child care, responsibilities, and makes participation difficult. We do have a lot of single moms. So if you are going to have programming, make sure you do two things. We feed our kids in our afternoon program. Why? Because you staying with us till almost 6 o'clock. I don't want you going home to your mama hungry. They know, and a lot of times the moms, they don't even have to worry about it. We have all their kids. They're fed, their homework is done, go home. See what I'm saying? So you want to make sure that your program takes all of that in consideration. Like, okay, is mom single? We also provide transportation, because transportation is a big thing for families. Even if they have a car, what's the other issue? Gas, maintenance. And it's amazing the cars they sell at tax time. I mean, these cars my parents come with a brand new car, 192,000 miles. I said, what? And I'm like, why do you buy a car every tax time they're buying a new car? I kept on wondering that. Well, yes, 200,000 miles. I said, well, my God. So wonder, we are buying a car. So transportation, gas. I give gas cards out all the time. It's just a thing that we do. Okay, let me not let this. Okay, we're going to make this work. Strategies. Offering flexible scheduling and transportation assistance. We just kind of went through this. Providing financial literacy workshops. I talked a little bit about, to Mario, a little bit about that, about my kids developing businesses. Junior Achievement. There used to be something called Junior Achievement. Do we still have Junior
I
Achievement?
think it's coming back. I saw it somewhere.
Did
I was
you?
like, what happened?
Yes, Junior Achievement. I was talking about Mario, like this summer, we have a summer camp. I think they need to come up with business plans. Why? Because if I'm not going to be a basketball star and if I'm not going to be a rapper, then you better start thinking about what you're going to be. And I better get it. Why is it important to do it while they're young? Because the scope of kids that we're working with under this grant are younger. Why is it important to do it while they're young? What's that part? Their prefrontal cortex still developing. That long-term memory, that they're still forming that. You are making and literally imprinting ideas in their mind. Why do they want to be basketball stars? Because they play the game all day long. Video games, they're watching it. It has told them that this, so if they have to sit down with paper and pen, like Junior Achievement, and sit down and develop a plan, and then we can work with different agencies and grants and say, hey, can we give, fake money that maybe connects to candy or a tool, or, I love giving away, because they love sneakers. So, Nike Outlet, Champs, Finish Line, that they literally get something for doing their business. And this, keep on talking about the business. Keep on saying, hey, how's that business? And then finding ways that they can develop these businesses, right? And so you're collaborating. Let's say that someone wants to do a business and you go to Third Cup and Braxton lets them come in there for the day. Right? I talked to Braxton even about the fact that a lot of their teas will help my kids go to sleep. Like their tea is like powerful, like calming. Do you ever have a tea? Like there's some good teas out there. You should go through Kroger's. There's immune and stress. There's one for immune and stress that will make you feel like you just the happiest thing out there. It will.
About the transportation.
Yes, please.
Especially here in Richland County, probably in lots of other counties as well, but we've been having a lot of discussion as far as, there's a lot of us that will pay for bus passes, gas gift cards. But one of the problems that we're seeing is,
And you're with who again?
youth and family council.
Okay. Yep.
So
You are.
we had a big discussion.
I
as
need to
far
talk to
as
you.
What, what are some barriers, but it's not just people don't just work for a shift. And even if they do work for a shift, just because they work at 8, they still need to get on the bus an hour earlier so they can get their child to childcare. And so
Yes.
they're missing that piece of
Yes.
our families that do have to drop kids off to childcare
Yes.
school or whatever that looks like. And then they get their work, so then they have to think an hour after the actual bus time because, you know what I mean? They have to
Yes.
think that. And
So what would we do? What would we do? What if you go back to when I talked about policy and what can we do? We've identified the problem, right? And how can we, because we want autonomy, right? We want them to be self-governing and independent, right? According to our SDT. Tell me what we could do as a community to maybe deal with that issue.
well, so Jean Patty's in the process of figuring out adjusting maybe times for pickup and
Okay.
drop off just to see. I mean, I know it's a lot of work, but it's like it needs to be done.
It
because it's an
definitely
issue.
does, not to interrupt you, but we have that same issue with our students that are on campus because we want these students to come and we want them to live on campus. in the
Yes.
dorms, But the students that we're getting on campus are coming from Cleveland, Akron.
Yes.
The bus systems run.
Yes.
They have no transportation.
Yes.
So they're stuck.
Yes.
And then they're bored.
Yes.
There's nothing to do.
Yes.
I'm out here in the woods.
Yes. So could we come up with a collaborative that is just a community support that says, hey, we want this to change? Is there a meeting we can go to? Is there something that we can say? Is it a funding issue? Is it we don't have enough drivers issue, so we need to start getting people with CDLs? What is the barrier? Because we say, oh, we're working on that. But in the meantime, today, I have a kid that's like, I'm about to quit college because I am stuck out here 24/7. I can't get anywhere. We have a mom right now who's got to quit her job because I can't get my kids. And they're in trouble for truancy. So now I got this issue. My thing is that when we identify issues like this collaborative is to say, Okay, well, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 to 11 people here. I think I kind of right. And so you get what I'm saying? Let's get together and let's come up with something that creates a solution.
I think that's important because just like you are having the conversation with Jean, we at OSU have had the conversation with Jean. She's telling us why it can't work for OSU.
Yes.
Because of this, telling you whatever. But if we make one huge change, it could work for all.
Yes, absolutely. And if it's a barrier to the success and economic growth of this community, this is what this collaborative is for, because it affects one thing. Also, one of our goals is what? Reading, literacy, graduation rates. It's affecting all of that. And then at OSU, we have people who are out there wanting to be teachers, wanting to be social workers, to stay here and create the economic growth. It's a domino effect. And one reason that I like doing what I'm doing here is that I get to we get to look and say, it's linked here. It's a holistic thing where the bus is affecting third grade reading literacy. Is, mom's not working. Everything is linked together, okay? I love that you shared that with that, but it goes right into the next thing is community partnership. You guys went right and you fell right into my trap. You guys are brilliant people in here. Yes, community partnership, right? Collaborating with schools, local businesses, nonprofits, organizations to provide comprehensive support, right? Where it works, it makes sense. Comprehensive about it making sense. It doesn't make sense that a mama is not having a job because we don't have a bus that's ready. It's like, could you get a bus driver to be there at 6? Yeah, they could work 6 to 2.
And
Right.
they don't run on the weekends.
Right, yeah.
Right. Right. Why? And that might be something that our amazing Mayor Jody, we say, hey, listen, this is a barrier. Can we have a conversation? Can we have a community support that deals with the barrier of poverty and transportation? This is not rocket science. It's not that you're brilliant, it's just that you think. Sometimes we stop at the problem, but we're brilliant enough to come up with a solution.
I think, and this was actually a heated discussion that we had. It's not very heated, but
I get it.
I was trying to get the point across, and it kind of goes into what you talked about earlier, as far as understanding where other people are coming from. I don't think that the people making the decisions have ever worked second or third shift, or have had to worry about getting their child to childcare, or had to worry about getting this equipment for work, or picking up my ID because I need it for here, but I need to go to JFS and drop it off.
Yes.
Like, I don't think that people making those decisions, I could be just assuming.
No.
I would say a majority of them haven't, or that would have been brought to the table. So then we were having this discussion. I said, well, we need to think about we all probably drove this meeting in our car today. And not everyone is that.
We're privileged.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I think it's important to even step back and think about those things. But I think it's difficult for maybe if you've never had to work outside.
Middle class, 9 to 5ers.
A little further than that, like, not only have they not had to do it, but they also haven't had a conversation with somebody that is doing it.
And that is a thing that collaborating does, is that we can bring mom to the table and say, because what I find out, and one thing about being a therapist is that when I do a diagnostic assessment, I get to look at how the problem started. And sometimes the economic and crime rates that you have started with simple things, like mom couldn't get him to school, mom couldn't get him to work, and if you look back, you would never think it's the little things that create violent kids who he couldn't go to school because mom wasn't working, and this happened, and you're like, oh my God, that could have been really avoided by simply providing a service. So sometimes I look at middle class and I say, do you still want your business to thrive here? You want a safe place to live? Then I suggest we make it more feasible for the people who need to get to work, the lower poverty area where crime is more socioeconomic than it is anything else sometimes. I think sometimes we have to take it there to their comfort as well. But that's what collaboratives do. I'm sure you are feisty at the meeting, though. I can tell by the way. Yeah, I can already tell.
I think Donna High said maybe firecracker.
Yeah. That word has been maybe used for me every once in a while. Exactly. Empowerment, right? And that is what we do. Bring in our parents to meetings, like you're saying, Tiffany, to come in and say, hey, You know, let me empower you. Go talk to the source. Don't be afraid to bring them to meetings. Say, okay, I don't even have to say it. Let me give a kid. I have a mom. I have a mom in particular who is amazing and advocating because her son is doing juvie life. So she is an amazing advocate, and she talks about. Let me tell you how he really got here. Let me talk about what happened in 5th and 6th grade with him. Let me see how he got labeled. Right? She can explain that pipeline from the beginning to the end now. And then she is so slick, she went and educated herself, and she has a bachelor's, and she does what she does, right? And so my thing is empowering families to advocate for themselves is the goal. I'm not a good therapist. I'm not a good social worker if I have not empowered them to the place that they have a voice and become active participants in their decision-making process. If I'm still making decisions for my clients, they can't make good decisions, I'm horrible. I've created codependency and I got an issue. I said, what do you think? Let's think about the tools you have around you. This is about autonomy, you being self-governing, right? This is about you being competent. I'll help you. We can guide you through this. I'm not making that decision for you. And let's find out where you belong. Where can you relate? That's where we're going. We're always thinking about how are we making them, right? And then celebrating diversity, embracing the richness of cultural diversity within the community and promoting an inclusive community. So always saying that, just because, I love, my example, you like greens and cornbread, and you bring green bean casserole and rolls, it doesn't matter. I really don't care. Bring your green bean casserole and rolls, and, I will eat my greens and cornbread. It's not an issue. Right? They both can be at the table together. Right? So that's where we go. All right. Long term. I just love the word long term. You're in this for a while. It takes a long time to get to the point. Long, little seeds. I remember my son had an apple seed when he was little. He had a little apple seed. He put it in the ground. Look, next day, no apples? I'm like, you poor little child. He's like 4 years old. Mommy, there's an apple seed. I heard that the apple seed is going to grow a tree, right? Or they swallow an apple seed and think a tree is going to grow, right? No, it's long, right? To build strong, resilient communities through sustained engagement and support. And the biggest thing that I always say is this collaborative that we do right now is essential. We just sometimes need to laugh together and be like, oh, your client crazy, you crazy, do you feel crazy too? Right? Because my goal is always, they come into my peace, I don't go into their chaos. That's what I tell my staff all the time. Remember, you invite them into your peace. You do not go into their chaos. Because you're human and you will be chaotic too. You're not Superman, you're not Superwoman. You think you are. And you will be chaotic, and your house will be chaotic because you will go home with so much stress. And when your child talks to you, you will be short with them because you spend all your time dealing and trying to be kind to someone else. And I will not destroy my family, my situation, and save them and lose mine. I don't have to. It's crazy. It's dumb. Right?
Well, it's not just long term, it's hard.
It's hard term.
It's slow, yeah, so culture
Yes.
change is slow.
It is.
We've always called it swimming through peanut butter.
That is good. I always use molasses. But
if you're going to really do any cultural change, it is going to be slow, and it is going to involve a lot
yes.
of,
They have to be pulling that train with you.
Yep.
I'll be in it with you, but baby, we going to have some heat to melt that peanut butter together. Right? Right? All right. So here we are. We're going to talk a little bit about, it's not May's. I forgot the A, but Maya's story. So we're going to talk, and then I just want you guys to take time. We're going to go out in a group, and I never want to do these things, and then you all don't have something that makes you better at what you do. Why in the world would we waste all this time here to be together and not? So we're going to take the story. I don't know, if I didn't have my glasses on, I would not be able to see this, so I'm going to say. So Maya is a hardworking single mom living in a high-crime urban community. Maya's teenage son, Jamal, was recently involved in an incident with the police leading to legal complications. Just use your imagination there. We're going to discuss issues such as racial bias, lack of support, marginalization, marginalized family issues, and barriers that Maya may face, okay? And we're going to apply self-determination theory here. So I left it here, autonomy. We're going to provide Maya with agency and decision-making power in her child's legal process. I want you to talk about competence, offering support and resources to help Maya navigate the legal system. And then I want belonging, foster a sense of community and support network for Maya and Jamal during difficult time. So when you get done, you're going to apply this. These are the things you're going to do. So I'm just going to let you go in groups. And then, you know how you do. You find who the presenter will be. And then I'll just call on you and go. So I'm going to give you, it is 12:20. This is over with at 1, right? I'm going to give you 10 minutes. And just come up real quick what you would do with Maya if she came to you. All right, we're going to get started like Jeopardy. Do, 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 do.